I want you to picture a building, okay? It's 1,000 years old and it's an architectural masterpiece, so advanced that it still has engineers today just scratching their heads. And no, this isn't some kind of sci-fi story. This is the real story of a temple in South India that is just an incredible testament to one emperor's vision and some serious engineering genius. So for a full millennium, this temple has been standing. It's made from over 130,000 tons of solid granite. And here's the real kicker. They built it without any modern cranes, no power tools, not even stuff like cement or mortar to hold the stones together. The entire thing is a precisely interlocked puzzle of absolutely massive stones. It just begs the question, right? In an age with none of our technology, how on earth did they pull off a feat this monumental? To really get the how, we first have to talk about the who and the why. You know, behind every great marvel is a grand vision, and this one belonged to one of the most powerful emperors in the history of India. This whole thing was the vision of Emperor Raja Raja Chola I. He didn't just see this as a building. To him, it was Dakshina Meru, the earthly, southern home for the Hindu god Shiva. This was a divine mission, really, a way to pour all the wealth and power of his empire into a monument that would last forever. And the timeline is, well, it's just staggering. Construction starts in the year 1003, and it's finished, consecrated, by 1010. That's only 7 years. 7 years to quarry, move, carve, and stack 130,000 tons of granite. I mean, to put that into perspective, some modern cathedrals took centuries to build. A feat like this, on this scale, is just almost unbelievable. The design itself was a masterclass in a style we call Dravidian architecture. But the Cholas, they didn't just follow the existing blueprint. They took it to a whole new level, quite literally. The absolute crowning glory of the temple is its main tower, the vimana. It just rockets up 216 feet, that's 66 meters, into the sky, totally dominating the landscape. You have to think, when this was built, it was probably one of the tallest structures anywhere in the world. And this points to a really fascinating architectural choice. See, in Dravidian temple architecture, you usually have two main kinds of towers, the vimana, right over the central shrine, and the gopurams, which are the gateway towers. Later on, other dynasties started focusing on making these massive, ornate gateways. But the Cholas, they made a statement. They made the vimana, the tower for the god itself, the tallest, most magnificent part of the whole complex. And what's wild is that the tower isn't just a solid chunk of stone. It's hollow on the inside, built using this brilliant interlocking method. You can think of it like giant, perfectly carved stone Legos. It's the sheer weight and friction of these stones, all fit together with absolute perfect precision, that has held this thing together for 1,000 years. Okay, so now we get to the core mysteries. Building this high and this heavy created two huge engineering puzzles that the Chola architects just had to solve. First up, the foundation. The temple is built in a river delta, which means the ground is soft and sandy, not exactly what you want for supporting a stone skyscraper. So how did they stop this colossal weight from just sinking right into the ground? The answer was so elegant and centuries ahead of its time. They used what's called the sandbox technique, which is basically a precursor to modern geotechnical engineering. They dug this massive pit and filled it with layers of sand, creating a super dense, stable cushion that could spread out the temple's enormous load and absorb vibrations. It's like the ultimate ancient earthquake proofing. This diagram kind of shows the principle. By locking in the sand within a solid granite boundary, the upward pressure from all that compacted sand perfectly balances out the downward force of the temple. The goal was something engineers call zero settlement, and, well, for 1,000 years it's worked perfectly. All right, now let's go from the very bottom to the absolute top. This might be the greatest mystery of all. How in the world do you get the capstone, a single massive piece of granite, onto the very top of a 216-foot tower? The stone we're talking about, it's called the sikara, or kumbum, weighs 80 tons. That's like the weight of about 12 full-grown elephants. And they had to lift it over 20 stories high. Just let that number sink in. The theory that most experts agree on is just as incredible as the problem itself. They think the builders constructed a massive earthen ramp with a really gentle slope that started over 6 kilometers. That's nearly 4 miles away from the temple. Then, using elephants and thousands of workers, they would have slowly dragged that 80-ton monolith all the way up the ramp to its final resting place. Mind-blowing. But the incredible engineering doesn't just stop with the main tower. I mean, the entire complex is a monument to the Chola dynasty's art and their devotion, a legacy that's literally etched in stone. Facing the main temple is this colossal statue of Nandi, the sacred bull. And just like the capstone, it's monolithic, carved from a single 25-ton rock. Then, standing guard at the entrances are these pairs of huge dwarapalakas or gatekeepers, and each one is just an intimidating, magnificent work of art all on its own. And beyond the sculptures, the walls of the temple are basically a history book. There are over 100 detailed inscriptions covering the surfaces, and they meticulously record everything, from how the temple was run and the jewels given to the gods, to the social and economic life of the entire Chola Empire. It's an unbelievable record of a civilization at its absolute peak. And this is what truly sets it apart. The Brihadeeswarar temple isn't just some museum piece or an ancient ruin. It's a great, living Chola temple. For over 1,000 years, without a single interruption, the lamps have been lit, the bells have rung, and the rituals have been performed. It's a direct, unbroken link to the past. So when we look at this masterpiece of faith and engineering, it really leaves you with a final thought. In a world where so much feels temporary, what can we learn from a structure that was designed to last forever? What does it teach us about the power of a clear vision, the absolute heights of human ingenuity, and just the sheer will it takes to create something truly eternal?